Welcome to Mondo Calaveras. My name is Shasta Garcia, and I'm filling in for Mike Taylor this evening. And I'm going to be interviewing Katie Johnson. I'm going to have her explain her long title because she does a lot, and I'm excited for you to hear what she does regarding nutrition and health. So please stay tuned because we all need to be healthy, okay? All right, well, thank you so much for being with us, Katie.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. And we kind of discussed a little bit off air about your title and kind of what you do, and you can tell people better than I could ever do.
Yeah, I'd be happy to explain. So my official title is Nutrition, Family, and Consumer Sciences Advisor for the University of California Cooperative Extension in our area. And just to unpack that a little bit, our UC Cooperative Extension is in partnership with our county, with Calaveras County, and with counties all over the state. The University of California funds our positions to extend the knowledge and the learning and the research from the university system. So a lot of people don't know we're connected to the universities, but we're right here in the community and not affiliated with any particular UC campus. We just work here to do things in Calaveras. And so there's farm advising, 4-H, and then there's also forestry, natural resources, and nutrition programs. So I manage our CalFresh nutrition education program, and also we do have master food preservers in our area that work on food preservation.
I've seen those classes that are offered. Okay.
Yeah. So that's a lot of what we do is cooperative extension. We work on education and helping get that knowledge out there. So in my field, that's nutrition, family, and consumer sciences. The consumer sciences is really like that master food preservers side of things, because it's kind of a funny term, but nutrition and the health of families. And my training is in public health nutrition.
I was going to ask, how did you end up doing all of that?
So I, a few years ago, got into farming. So I had run a small produce farm, like you see at local farmers markets, diversified produce with my husband and my family for quite a few years. And at some point, I wanted to feed people on a bigger scale and to get people those healthy vegetables and foods on a bigger scale. So I went back to school and I got a master's in public health nutrition at UC Berkeley. And I'm really happy to have landed with Cooperative Extension because Cooperative Extension does so much related to agriculture, and I get to be on the nutrition end of agriculture now. So I work on getting people the foods that our producers grow and produce.
And what's the most rewarding thing about your job?
Oh gosh, there's a lot of things. We do a lot of work in schools. All of Calaveras Unified School District is qualified for our services under our nutrition education program. And we have wonderful stories coming out of that. There's wonderful gardens. We get to work with community partners throughout the county, at the schools. And, it's just really special to see when kids learn that this is where food comes from. They get to see it growing in the garden. They get to see it from seed all the way to eating it and tasting it. So,
do you know how common it is for families within Calaveras to actually be having their own farms? Or their own gardens, per se?
It varies a lot. So one thing I always talk about is there's this perception that because we're a rural county here, that people automatically sort of are all gardening or having their own chickens in their backyard or growing their own food.
Not necessarily the case.
Not true, right? So when you go to urban areas, there is this perception that that's what it's like out in rural counties.
The trees and you're like, well,
right.
I mean, they don't have a Walmart for 40 minutes away, so they must.
They got to get their food somewhere, right? Well,
exactly. What type of programs do you have for people who maybe don't have kids in the school system who also might want to learn about nutrition and how they can get their hands on making their own garden and having that food in front of them?
So we have some of our education work going on at the local senior center and at a church locally. Really any sort of community center where people gather, we're pretty much open to doing education in a lot of places.
And if somebody wants to contact you, how would they go about doing that?
They can contact me. Really, the easiest is if they just want to Google Cooperative Extension Calaveras County. They'll come up with our website, and they can find me on that. That's easy, and you can reach me by email or phone.
You can find all that on Google.
Yeah, that's probably the easiest way. And I should say that I do manage staff to go out and do most of the education, and a big part of what I do is evaluation for that program and also research. So I do applied research to see what kinds of approaches are working, like what really does make those kids' eyes light up a little bit more and let us know that we're doing a good job.
Can the community get involved in what you guys are doing within the schools or within the community? Do you have any programs where people can volunteer or donate?
Yeah, absolutely. So Cooperative Extension has a lot of volunteer-run programs. The Master Food Preserver that I mentioned, that is a volunteer-based program. So we have one coordinator who's fantastic, and our area actually covers 4 counties. We cover Tuolumne, Calaveras, Amador, and El Dorado. So we're
a little bit
stretched thin public servants serving 4 counties.
Wow.
But we have one coordinator that covers those counties, and then she trains volunteers. And so we have a lot of volunteers. So there's a lot of great room to volunteer there. We also have the Volunteer Master Gardeners program as well, similar sort of train the trainer. We train volunteers.
Up by the library in Sanders?
It sure is, and we do a lot of education right at that garden there.
It's beautiful in there.
It is.
I've always
wanted
to do a photo shoot in there. Well, not just me personally.
So they maintain, the Master Gardeners maintain that gorgeous garden all year long, and then they also help out in some of the school gardens around. So
the school gardens, so you guys help set those up and then the schools take care of it, or do you guys take care of it completely?
Our district is so supportive here. Calaveras Unified is just fantastic in really, truly valuing and putting a lot of resources into those gardens.
Being in Toyon, and I think I was the first class that got the garden.
Oh, right.
Yeah, no, I remember because it was never there, like the ones that are in front of the locker room.
Yep.
So
that's great.
I didn't really get to experience it too much in terms of like learning about it and things like that, but I was definitely there for the process of, it was kind of cool to have like a garden on campus. It was different. It was new. So.
It's been this new thing that's been this big development and coming and building.
Are other schools doing it as well, or is it more prominent in Calaveras County because of you guys, or do other counties have a program like this as well?
Well, we're lucky to have a couple of fantastic teachers in the district, Kevin and Autumn Hesser, who have supported through the schools and for actually decades helped to build these gardens. So I think Calaveras Unified is very advanced in terms of having the support. It's not something you see everywhere. And with covering 4 counties, I can say it's pretty unique and really amazing how comprehensive the program here is.
And where does the food from the garden go currently? Does it go into like the school lunches, or does it go home with the kids? How does that work?
So it depends on the school site. Like I said, there's gardens at every single school. At every single school in the district, at least some kids are tasting the food coming out of the garden. So that's.
There's no schools that are missing in the program?
In Calaveras Unified, it's district-wide now. At least, and the size varies. Some of them, it's a couple raised beds, but that's enough for kids to get out and plant a seed and taste the cherry tomatoes and do all of that.
Yeah,
at
you'd
the
be
high
surprised,
school,
because not you'd be surprised, but like people, like when you actually make something yourself and then you watch a girl, like kids, they want to eat it because they made it.
Yep, it's really special. So at the high school, they start out with that, and the gardens might be smaller by the time they get up to Calaveras High. Now there is a 3/4 acre, I believe is the size, working farm there. So it is integrated with the FFA program, with the curriculum that they teach there, and it really is a fantastic space. They have established fruit trees. I mean, it truly is a farm and not what you would think of when you think of school garden, which is also an amazing model to have here in the county. So the kids also get a chance once a year, at least the 3rd graders come into the farm and get to experience that. That's something our programs helped with the last couple years, is bringing all the 3rd graders in the district in. And we heard some great comments at the field trip this last year that
3rd graders are fun.
They said, I want to go to high school here.
They are.
This is great.
They just like put their thoughts out there.
Yeah, and there's animals there as well. So they get to see the animals being raised, and it's really the whole cycle. So,
do you see anything that you guys might be adding in the future to it, or things that you wish to have to make the program grow? Well, part of what I've helped partner with the school district on is
when I started this position, there's a fantastic grant from the California Department of Food and Agriculture that's supporting the implementation of these gardens and the education program that goes along with it, where we do nutrition education in the schools. Either staff or volunteers do that in all the schools as well, so that kids understand not just how it grows, but also how it affects our health and why it's important to eat these healthy foods. And then another component of that grant is connecting with local growers and using a CSA model, stands for Community Supported Agriculture. It's just a box of veggies a week that you kind of pre-order or pay for, and actually using schools as the hubs, because schools often are community hubs around here, as the pickup points for these local foods. So trying to connect with local growers and also promote local agriculture, getting that into our schools and just getting it to the parents and the residents around here a little bit more. So that's a big emphasis I'd like to work more on.
Okay. And when it comes to building your own garden, how do you suggest people get started in making that happen?
Really?
Is there a good time to do it? Like, is fall a good time to do it?
Fall is a fine time to do it here. I think, honestly, if somebody wanted to start right now, you could plant radishes right now, and you could be eating them in not too many weeks from now.
Is there anything else that people should be eating as far as, or not eat, but as far as like growing, is there anything that's like for the season? You said radishes.
Radishes are quick. So right now in the season we're going into, the days are getting a little shorter. It's going to be getting a little cooler. Yeah, avocados are not quick. They don't do so well here. Gets a little too cold for them.
You know those tasty Facebook videos where they tell you you take the seed and then do this? How did that work?
It's great until the trees get to be 25 feet tall.
But it takes years and years, right?
Yeah. Growing the perennial trees that's next level. So I would start with the little seeds in a garden bed before you graduate to avocados.
Trees sound like as good as money trees. Really.
Pretty much. Well, we can't really do avocados super well here. Maybe with a little protection you could pull them off, especially in the West County. But you can grow peaches, you can grow plums, you can grow figs, you can grow nuts.
Do you have a garden at home?
Lots of things.
Okay, and what do you have right now?
Well, I should say I actually live.
To ask?
No, it's okay. I should say I live across the border. I actually live in Tuolumne County, so I work here. But we have right now most of the fruit trees are done for the year, but we still have persimmons on the trees, and actually pomegranates are up and coming. They're not quite ripe yet, so our persimmons, we have the flattened kind of persimmons that you can eat when they're crunchy. The food use.
And it's so irritating.
They make a mess a little bit. Not the best in parking areas, but.
And they're just like purple splats everywhere.
Yes, they're very healthy for you, though. Or if you collect them before they hit the car. Yeah.
Well, is there any other programs that you wanted to mention? Because I know you guys do quite a bit. Is there anything that we're missing as far as programs go?
I guess just one other thing that I do in a program I'm starting to build a little bit more is I'm also a lactation consultant, and I do community breastfeeding support. So that's kind of the other side of nutrition. I love working with older, all the way from older adults, regular adults, down to children, and then even to the youngest children and infants. Something we have in public health nutrition world more broadly is there's a good recognition that it's not enough to just tell people to eat their veggies. We need to do more to make food affordable and make food easy to get and make the healthy choice the easy choice and help people understand why it's important and really support people in being able to make those choices to eat healthy. Oftentimes when we talk about women who breastfeed and whether they should or shouldn't, we really don't have that same understanding that we need a support system in place to make that work. So there's a lot of back and forth about people telling moms they should breastfeed and moms feeling very attacked over it, and it can be very controversial.
I've seen a lot of people step out recently in the media, a lot of celebrities where they're advocating for breastfeeding, and it's very interesting to kind of see the trend of something. Do you know anything about kind of why it has the bad connotation?
Well, for a long time, actually, doctors said you shouldn't breastfeed, and they actually prescribed formula, and that was the big thing when formula was invented, and it was seen as a really great modern invention and really freeing for women. And so we've kind of come around from that again, where the medical establishment recognizes that it's far healthier if you can breastfeed, that there are health outcomes both for babies and also for mothers.
So do you have classes, or do you provide information? How does that work?
I would say I work more. We have a great breastfeeding coalition. That's Amador and Calaveras Bi-County Breastfeeding Coalition, and looking for ways to provide support, what I would call technical assistance, less educating moms specifically and working with new moms, because usually that's for medical providers at that point in working with a new mom. But so when moms go back to work, going back to that supportive, that's usually when we see a big drop-off in breastfeeding rates, is when moms need to go back to work, so we can work with employers. And so finding ways to go about and say, here's resources for employers, here's things, did you know, it's really actually, there's some good steps you can take, and you can retain your employees, and you can save money as a business, and there are some big benefits to having a supportive lactation program for an employer. There's also laws saying that certain size businesses have to have those on the books, and many employers aren't even aware of that.
Very interesting.
So kind of trying to do some of that work instead of having it all be down on the mother when she goes back to have to educate her employer on that. So that's one area, workplace.
Have you had success with that?
I think it depends on the area, it depends on the businesses, but I think in businesses that I've heard from and talked with, often it's just not something they've thought of before. So yeah, often it can, employers tend to want to do what's best for their employees and want to be supportive and keep people coming back. So often it's just kind of a light bulb of, oh yeah, I could do this, I should think about this before it becomes an issue for someone.
What drives your passion to help women and also be the support and almost like a voice for them when it comes to these companies and businesses?
I really just think that it is it's one of the most vulnerable and most important times in a woman's life, and I'm a mom, so I do know that from experience, and having experienced that, is just it's a place where we should be supporting, we should be coming together as a village, and yeah.
What types of things are you guys doing to bring all of your different programs together? Do you guys have like a list, or you guys always have it on your website? You have like classes, you have days where I think people can go and get produce at the Master Garden. Isn't that correct? Okay.
Yeah, that's actually one great thing with wonderful organization is Calaveras Grown, that brings local Calaveras growers together.
And you guys are connected?
They, it's Calaveras Grown Farmers Market that is run in sort of partnership and cooperation with the Master Gardeners and our cooperative extension out of that demonstration garden up by the county center there on Mountain Ranch Road. So that is actually over for the year. We just had the last one, unfortunately, but it'll be back. It'll be back in the spring, and they're once monthly. It's a certified farmers market. Produce from the high school farm is actually sold at that farmers market. Other local growers, local artisan products and things. That's a great, a lot of people don't know we have a real farmers market in San Andreas, but we do. It's trying to grow it a little bit more, so a little more people coming would be great next year.
Well, you heard her.
Yeah.
Well, so when everything starts blooming, you have to go out and go get some.
You can see there's the music sometimes. It's really fun, and something I love about food is people come together around it. It brings everybody together. So coming out and buying some good food after work, and seeing what we can grow locally.
Yeah. Do you know how the Calaveras County School District has implemented the garden into their daily school schedule? I mean, do they spend like once a month, or is it like, do they have a class that kind of does it, or how does that work?
Again, it depends on the school. So I can speak mostly to what my staff and our nutrition education staff, who are wonderful. We have 2 full-time staff members here in Calaveras that work mainly in the schools. And so they go out and visit various schools and actually teach. They go into the classrooms. They have partnerships with different teachers. Some teachers have more time for things. Some teachers have a little bit less. So it kind of depends. It's not top-down saying you have to be in every classroom every so often, but it's more just filling the need where the need comes up, and linking to things like the science standards and the Common Core curriculum, and really using the gardens as a laboratory to teach those things. We have research-based curriculum that we bring into the schools. Again, the research from the university that's been tested and shown to be effective. And so that's what our educators teach in the school. I should mention we do a lot with physical activity too, and that's a big thing. So we can, there's just such limited time and space, and a lot of schools don't have dedicated PE teachers anymore. But we know that actually physical activity is really effective way to increase learning outcomes. Kids do better when they have the chance to be active. So our educators actually go in and they teach this great curriculum. It's basically a PE curriculum. We call it CATCH, Coordinated Approach to Child Health, and it keeps kids moving. The goal of CATCH and why it's really effective is it's kind of, if you think back to more traditional PE, sometimes you get out in tag and then you're sitting there for the whole time. That doesn't really happen in CATCH. All the kids are moving almost all of the time. So it's very fun. It's very much games based. I actually think it's really fun. Most people who see CATCH and get to see it in action think it's really fun.
I remember PE being fun like in elementary school. And then once I got to middle school, it was just like
a little bit less. But
well, I think the worst part was just like the changing out and changing to other clothes, and then like that just took so long.
Yeah. Well, just keeping a little bursting active here and there where they can get in and
then you incorporate
activity.
The nutrition with the garden incorporated with the CATCH.
Yeah. It's usually different lessons, but oftentimes, like I said, their lesson might be more effective if the kids have a chance to get up and be active around the same time. So often there'll be a nutrition education lesson, and then sometimes followed up with a little bit of activity or a game at the end. So, and the lessons, I can just talk a little bit more about what's taught in those, because I think we say nutrition education, it's kind of amorphous, but it can be anything.
Yeah, we were talking that, when people think of nutrition, they're like, well, how much vitamin C do I need today?
Right.
But that's not exactly.
Yeah, I would say, so I separate kind of clinical nutrition, and that's where, how much vitamin C should I eat every day? And while we do maybe touch on that a little bit, it's more about how do we eat healthy overall? How do we make our whole lifestyle? How do we include healthy foods in our lifestyle? How do we make it a habit and make those healthy habits?
A lot of people say that healthy food is too expensive, which in a lot of cases it can be.
Yep.
So what do you suggest for families who do want to take the plunge and start eating healthy and really be on the right track, but for some reason, they don't feel like they can get, they don't have enough money for it, can't get their hands on it? What do you suggest?
That's such a great question, because it is such a big issue. I mean, it's something we know for sure.
Yeah, like fries at McDonald's are cheaper than salad.
Right, and so from a research perspective, now we're seeing what we call fast food diets have caused both what we call overnutrition and undernutrition. So we have the rising obesity epidemic and overweight epidemic, but at the same time, people might not be getting. Right? We're very high, but people who are eating those diets as a regular pattern and not getting enough of the healthy fruits and veggies might actually be deficient in some of those key nutrients at the same time. So it's a paradox that's happening right now, where people can actually be overweight and undernourished at the same time. So so my advice, getting back to your question, is just start somewhere and make small changes. So where we see people being more successful, and research shows people are going to be more successful at changing their lifestyle and eating healthier if they make small changes that they can stick with. Crash diets don't work.
They don't.
Massively overhauling your entire eating style doesn't work.
I tell myself,
Whole30
no
might work
coffee
for 30
for
days,
a day, okay?
Yep. It just doesn't work. It doesn't work. And, even if it works in the short term, very clearly we see people backsliding almost always with the crash diets and the fad diets and things like that. So small changes, just even if you just pick one thing, and then maybe in 6 months down the line, you want to pick another thing and change that. The other big piece of advice I would have is cook at home. Cook at home. And I know that's time that a lot of people don't have or think they don't have, But the more you get into it, the more you get into doing it, and it doesn't have to be a big
meal prepping?
elaborate, right? You can meal prep on the weekends and just throw something together. And I honestly think sometimes I just eat like a kid. Like, it's okay to just eat a dip and some veggies and some healthy
carrots,
whole
my
grains,
favorite.
and that's a healthy meal right there. So it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be a big elaborate meal. But yeah, cooking at home saves money almost invariably, even if you eat fast food. Really, if you stretch your dollars and shop well, you can save a lot of money cooking at home. And then beans. If you include beans in your diet, they're one of the healthiest things, and they are so cheap. Or lentils, if you don't like beans. There's a lot of different kinds. Try the fun ones. Try white beans. Try different. So they're one of the least expensive proteins out there.
I would second that. Mm-hmm.
Very high fiber, very good for you, and very cheap. So,
in your opinion, what is like the must-haves when it comes to nutrition for people to have in their fridge in their house right now?
Oh gosh,
I know, tough. Right?
It's tough, but just fresh food, fruits and veggies, really. If they're not there, you're not going to eat them. If they're not there, and if they're not easy,
I know when
you're
have
not going to eat them.
I don't know, when you have like chips and desserts, and if it's in the house, you're gonna eat it. Why waste it, right?
So you can, if you have that fruit, maybe cut up so you know that it's ready to go and you can just grab it, then you kind of set yourself up for success over grabbing the snacky foods that are around. And, we all have some snacky foods around. And
was there ever a point where you weren't very healthy and you kind of...
I'm definitely not perfect. I definitely have a sweet tooth a little bit more than I should, but
Halloween's coming around.
Halloween's coming around.
More candy.
But everything in moderation. So we talk about slow go and whoa foods. You go on those veggies, and maybe you go a little bit slower on some of the proteins or some of the fats, and then there is the candy and the added sugars. That's really just... Sometimes they're fine, but just not every day. So that's kind of my mantra. Sometimes it's fine, it really is. Because I don't want to create a stigma around them or something that it's healthy or you're bad if you eat sugar. Really, everybody,
I appreciate that
everybody
you
does it. So, but
addressed it like that.
I don't think they're for every day, right? It shouldn't be a super common snack that I would go to. That's the line for me, for myself, and for my family that I try to draw. So we have birthday cake and we have candy at Halloween, but we don't have it around every single day just for a snack.
Well, it has been so interesting to hear your perspective as a mother and somebody who is very involved in our community about nutrition and health, and how you have integrated it not just in your work life but also in your home life, and just some easy steps for people to go about doing that. And we're actually totally out of time, but I want to thank you for being on Mondo Calaveras, and I want to thank you guys for watching, and stick around for some more episodes coming in the future, and go look at her website and see all the great information that you can get from it, and go eat some healthy foods. Okay? Bye guys.